Hey, Shalom, welcome back. Here we are continuing with the Ha'azinu, the so-called Song of Moses. We will be working through, starting with verse, Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 30. All right, and let's get going. Ken yiratzon ki Adonai tiftach et shemei v'tishlachna aleichem kol ve'achot tov mimenu. All right, verse 30. eikhah yidrof echad elef yaniniso revava im lo ketzureinu mecharam v'Adonai hisgiram. All right. Eikhah. Aleph Yod Kaf Hey, for those of you listening at home. Eikhah. Alas, or how. If you're wondering about the little a, this is just saying that in the Samaritan Torah, it just says eich. So how, more likely. How yidrof, the verb is radaf, reish dalet pei, which is to pursue, to chase after. Y means he. So how yidrof echad, how will one pursue elef, 1,000? Ushnayim, u is and, shnayim is two. We'll do it this way for Australian friends. Sorry. I'm not Australian. Didn't mean any obscene gesture there. The u is an u instead of a v because of the bump shwa rule. I'm not sure if we have a video just on that. I mean, it's in many of my videos. So maybe topic index or just call it out. No need to make a video card. If you feel like it, I'll look and see. So ushnayim, because there's a shwa, and you cannot have two shwas in a row. So ushnayim and two, yaniniso. So what the heck is that? The verb is hard to recognize because it's a hollow verb. It's nun, shurik, samech. And when the middle root letter, that's shurik, it's a vav. When it's a vav, that goes away, and you're left oftentimes just with the first root letter, that's the nun, and the third root letter, that's the samech. So what the heck is the yod there? Well, when you have an imperfect verb, again, if you don't know what that is, it's okay. That's this one here. And you put it in the he fill, the so-called causative or elative binyan, a yod gets jammed in there before the third root letter, and that's what we have here, yod. So I can tell, looking at that that's a he fill, although I've marked it also, right? So nous, you remember our mnemonic? When you see a nous, you should flee. You should run away, run away. So when you see a nous, run away. So nous is to flee, right? To run away. But the he fill is to cause to flee, to cause to run away. So yaniniso, they cause to flee. So what is it? Yidrof echad. One chases elef 1,000. Ushnayim, and two yaniniso causes to flee revava. Reish, bait, hey. And this is kind of cool because if you remember on Shabbat, we talked about how Moshe in the Psalm, he uses the word ravavim for like the very torrential rainfall. It's so much rav, it's so rav rain, right? So here we have that same root, which would have been in the listener's mind, having heard it sung, whatever the ancient melody was. Now, revava, in a negative term, right? It's 10,000. It's a so-called myriad, myriad, myriad. So one will cause 1,000, and two will cause to run away, will chase away 10,000. Revava. We're scaling linearly, just like Israel today. If you look at the statistics, when I hear the people whining and complaining about what Hamas claims is the death toll, which, first of all, why are you believing what Hamas says? You're just making up numbers, pulling it out of their gluteus maximi. But if those numbers are even remotely true, wow, two really are routing 10,000. I mean, the numbers are kind of appropriate. All right, back to Hebrew. Im lo, im aleph mem, if not, ki kaf yod, that zoram, tzari, shurik reish, tzur, that's the giant rock face, a giant cliff. This is, of course, Hashem. It's a divine epithet for God, right? That he's zoram, the tzur of them, but sometimes also used to talk about enemies about their rock as well, right? So if for zoram, for their rock, but it's talking about our God, mechar mem kaf reish, machar is to sell. He sold he sold them. He sold them. Vadonai, that's vav and yod he vav he. And by the way, the pointing here, in case you're wondering, why we have if you've listened to too much Nehemiah Gordon and he's telling you that it's actually pointed the way you're supposed to read it, well then the ah here shows that you're supposed to read Adonai. Okay? Because the only way you get an ah here, not if it's Yeho, and then the name that he claims is God's name, that won't work. You wouldn't need the vav here, okay? It'd be different. It'd be different. If that was the case, it would be V. We'd say V. There'd be a dot here, a chirik, and the yod would then become part of the long vowel. That's the rule. So it's definitely not Yeho something, okay? The Masoretes are understanding it as Adonai, which is when you have a chat of patach, that's the composite shwa, and you want to put another shwa in front of it, not allowed to start over with two shwas in a row, so we lengthen to the same sound the chatum patach has. And Adonai, aleph with the chatum patach, that's a composite shwa, we're going to copy the A sound. That's what got copied over, and that's why there's an ah underneath the vav. So just one of all over the place, further proofs that the Masoretes indeed intended to be Adonai here, to understand as Adonai. They were kind of just obfuscating the name of the Lord or writing it the way it's supposed to be. What happens is when people think that God's name is Yehovah, this is a very simple early mistake that someone makes when they just learn to read Hebrew and they don't know any of the traditions and they don't know any of the scribal methods and they don't understand the Masorah. This is the error that somebody makes. This is how one group named themselves the Jehovah's Witness, because they thought that was the name, right? I'm not picking on that group. I'm just saying that's historically what happened. So someone, they just learned to read, but they haven't fully learned to read yet, and they think this is God's name, Yehovah. Whereas we know the Vav was not a V sound in ancient times, nor is it in any other Semitic language. Topic indexers, please call out video card from my video proving that this was a Wah, where I cite over 70 scholars in a document that I share with you. You can look and get all those scholarly references called out. I was going to do 100, but I just got tired of it. So basically, all the scholars. It's not like it's difficult. It's not like trying to find scholars that use the W for the wall, for the ancient wall. It's just finding scholars that reference it somewhere, because they all do. Okay, so please, if you've been kind of hypnotized by this incorrect teacher, break free. Break free. Set yourself free. All right. Vadonai and Hashem hisgiram. So the verb is saga, samech gimel reish, which is to close, right? Like you can say segor et hadelet, close the door, right? This is to cause to close. Hisgir, again, it's got that yod jammed in there, like I talked about for the hefil, right? So we have samech, gimel, reish, those are the root letters, and then there's a yod right in there, and so you can see that, and you know, it's a hefil. It's a hefil form, right? So hisgir, the he at the beginning also tells you. That's nice when that's there. He caused to shut up, caused to close up, them. This means, it means he caused them to lose, right? They lost the battle, is what it means. Okay. Now, Ibn Ezra understands this verse not as, well, he suggests it could mean, how is it that the enemy is doing so well, right? That one of the enemy is routing 1,000 and two of them is routing 10,000, right? But he suggests that it could also be understood that the Bnei Israel, the Israelis back then, would be questioning, how is it possible that once we used to rout these large numbers, right? Why can't we do it now? Why are we weak now? And then they would then conclude, if not that zoram, their rock, had sold them the charam, right? So just another perspective on that. All right, I'm going to read through. You try to translate before I do. Eikhah, eich in Samaritan Torah. How yidrof, he pursues echad, one. Elef, 1,000. That's aleph lamed pay if you're just listening. It's always a F sound when it's at the end of the word. So I say pay, but I just mean the letter. Some prefer to say fe. Ushnayim, and two, yaniso, They caused to noose. They saw the news. They caused to flee. They routed, maybe you could say, revava, 10,000. Imlo, if not, ki, that, zoram, their rock, mecharam, had sold them. Vadonai, and Hashem, hisgiram, had shut them up, meaning handed them over. Okay, not happy stuff. All right, continuing verse 31. Ki lo ketzureinu zoram ve'oyeveinu plilim. Okay, ki, for, lo, not, ketzureinu. Che, that's a kaf, like, tzul, rock, like a big one, like a mountain rock, nu, of us. So for our rock is not che, like zoram, like their rock, meaning their God, right? Ki lo ketzureinu zoram, literally, for not, like our rock is their rock. Ve'oyeveinu, and, or you could say or, oyev, it's oyevim, enemies, drop the mem, oyeve, enemies of, oyve, enemies of nu, of us, and not our enemies, plilim. And this is where it gets a bit weird. I mean, this has some kind of different meanings, and different scholars have canvassed this for some time. Excuse me, my neck has been killing me the last couple of days. So it's just kind of a little strange thing here. I'm going to share with you this little comment here. So plilim seems out of place. T-Guy suggests leaning on Akkadian cognate palilu, which is a guardian or a leader, as a divine epithet, which makes sense with the Hebrew parallelism because we're talking about tzur. Our tzur is an el, and their tzur is an el as well, but a lower level el, a created el, right? This is where you get in trouble if you just understand el as meaning God. Well, now it sounds like polytheism or something, but it doesn't really just mean God. It has other meanings, right? Many Hebrew words, you need to get used to this. This is what's hard for people, even sometimes people who are already bilingual. They'll be accustomed to like a living kind of modern language. And with a modern language, it's actually much easier, in my experience, to learn than the Hebrew Bible, for example. And you might think, well, why is that? The Hebrew Bible, it's a limited set of scripture, it's a limited set of writings. There's limited number of vocabulary. Yes, but because you're looking at a word, for example, that might be used over a period of 1,000 years in the writing, with ever-changing ebb and flows of having been in the diaspora a couple times, or having been influenced by cognates from other languages in the borders. The Canaanites and Moabites speaking a certain way, or some of them would convert, and then they like Psalm 16, probably written by a convert, and so you have a whole lot of stuff going on. Whereas a modern language, say you want to learn Spanish or whatever, so modern language, it's a snapshot of that language. If you learn German today, you're not learning classical German, right? You're not learning the same kind of vocabulary and all those things. You don't have to know all that from back then. You just have to know today. If your goal is to have conversations with people, maybe religious discussions or whatever, there's a snapshot, right? And that's how the language is right now. Okay. With biblical Hebrew, we have several snapshots changing time. Then the poetry is a view back into even older time, more ancient time. So, but it's a labor of love. I'm not trying to discourage anyone, but just sometimes I get these comments like, "No, it's not like that." Blah blah blah. Why would it be so? That's why. Okay, we're looking at a work of antiquity, right? And sometimes Muslims will ask me, but like about the difficulty of it, because for them, Quran, which is also very difficult, it's a much later work, right? So the Arabic of today is not so far removed from the Arabic from the time that they had their Quran written. Whereas with Hebrew, 3,000 plus years ago, right? So anyway, don't be discouraged, but I just wanted to share that. Well, that's why sometimes there's some odd constructions, and sometimes we're not exactly sure what's happening in a piece of poetry. So I like Tigai's suggestion to go with the Akkadian understanding of this cognate, because we just talked about tzul, meaning God, God. So why not, again, gods? Okay. All right. So the idea is that nor are our enemies guardians equal to our rock. Okay. All right, I'm going to read 31 one more time. You try to translate before I do. Ki, for, lo, not ketzureinu, like the rock of us. You can slow it down if you need, if it's too fast, but we have a lot to get through, so I can't go my normal pace, yeah? Zoram, the rock of them. Ve'oyavenu, and the enemy of us. Like plilim, their guardians. So there nor are our enemies guardians, and the implication is like our God. Okay, again, it's poetic, so there's some wiggle room there. All right. Now I will just read 30 and 31 real quickly. I mean, normal pace. I won't go too fast. eikhah yidrof echad elef, ushnayim yaniniso revava. Im lo ketzureinu necharam, v'Adonai hisgiram. 31. Ki lo ketzureinu zoram, ve'oyavenu plilim. All right, next. Verse 32. Ki migafen sedom, or sedom, gafnam, o mishadmot ha'amora. Ki, for, migafen sedom, from the vine rather. I was thinking, the blessing we say for wine, we say, Borei priha gafen. That's just because it's got an extra oomph there. Changes the sigol to ah. So migafen, from the vine of Sodom or Sodom, is gafnam, is their vine. For the vine, from the vine of Sodom is their vine. Omeshadmot ra'mora. Shadema is an old word for like field, and it could also be a vineyard. Omeshademot, and from the vineyard of Amora, Anavemo, Ein Verosh, Ashkelot Merorot, Lamo. Okay. Anavemo are their Anavim, their noble grapes. So from the vineyard of Amora are their noble grapes. They are Ein Rosh, grapes of Rosh. Now don't get confused, this doesn't mean head. This is a homograph, which means poison. They are poisonous grapes. Ashkelot merorot lamo. Ashkelot, and Eshkol is a cluster, right? They brought the clusters of grapes back, the spies brought back from the land. Clusters of merorot, of bitterness. Lamo. Lamo, for them, or what belong to them, are theirs. Maybe that'd be better to say that way. Yeah. So inve rosh, grapes of poison. Ashkelot merorot, clusters of bitterness. Lamo, are theirs. Okay. I'll read it one more time. This time you try to translate before I do. Ki migefen sedom gafnam. Ki, for, min geffen became migeffen. From the geffen, the vine of Sodom, are gafnam. The geffen of Am, their vine, is their vine. Umeshademot Amora, and from the fields or the vineyards, we can nuance it because of the parallelism. The vineyards of Amora, of Gomorrah, are the Anavemo, are their the Anavim, their noble grapes. Ein Rosh, grapes of Rosh, of poison. Ashkelot, clusters of Merorot, of bitterness. Lamo, are theirs. All right, verse 33. Chamat taninim yenam, Rosh petanim achzah. By the way, usually you'll see Rosh written with an aleph. And I just checked out the C to see what the C is saying. Sure enough, in the Samaritan Torah, it's written with an aleph. So remember I said before they're homographs, they look the same. But then down here we have Rosh, and it's not looking the same. That's what's going on. So Chamat, this is Chema, literally heat of taninim, of serpents. So heat of serpents, well, we had this, something like this before, right? We had the chemat, the heat of the zochale afar, those who drag their bellies in the dust previously, right? So this is the venom of serpents. It doesn't sound as good in English, poison, venom, and then poison, but in Hebrew, at least you've got different sounding words here, right? Perhaps rosh without the aleph eventually was originally some other kind of poison. So is yain am. This is the wine of them, is their wine. The rosh, and the poison of petanim. Although this could actually mean the head of petanim. What is petanim? Oops, sorry, I got my stuff out of order there. Okay. So petanim. Oh, I have it. Yeah, I wrote kamas. Sorry, it's actually patan. Yeah, you see, it's at least it's both orange there. Can I? Let's see if I can fix this. Fixed. Peten, peten, peten or feten. It's a viper. In Ugaritic, beten it just means snake. So petanim, the rosh petanim, and it could actually be the head of vipers, because oftentimes when you have the same sounding word twice, rosh and rosh, then the poet is trying to tease out different meanings of the same word, right? So it just depends. If the Samaritan Torah is correct that it was written with an aleph, that had a slightly different sound than just a cholam vav in ancient times. If not, then if it really was with a cholam vav, then it's possible that there was some specific nuance about poison which is lost to us now. Okay, maybe the poison from a vegetable, like a fruit, was different than that of an animal. Okay, so anyway, so chamat taninim, the heat literally of serpents, yenam is their wine, the rosh and the poison or the head, it could actually be the head, like ooh, it's a snake head, right? Of petanim, of vipers, achzav, aleph kaf, zayin resh, which just means cruel, of cruelty. Maybe we have a shared suffix here, is their cruelty, right? I think that would make sense. Achzar am being implied by the poet. Okay, verse 34. I need to pick up the pace a little bit. Time is going too fast. Hallo, hallo hu, kamus amadi, chatum be'otzerotai. Hallo, this is the interrogative, it's a question mark, is not who, he or it, kamus, kaf, mem, samech. This is a passive participle only used one time in all of Scripture, meaning to store up. Is not it, or heaped up, can be to heap up. Is not it heaped up, imadi, with me. Chatum, be'otrotai. Chatum is like a sealed, like sealed up, in otzerot, storehouses of of me, in my storehouses. So again, 34, try to translate before I do. Hallo hu, is not it, kamus, heaped up, stored up, amadi, with me. Chatum, sealed up, be'otzerot in the storehouses of me. And then I will just read through 32, 33, and 34. Ki migefen Sidon gafnam, umishadmot ra'mora, ra'na ve'emo, ענבי ראש, אשכולות מרורות למו. חמת תנינים ינם, וראש פתנים, אכזר. It kind of feels like it should say אכזר עם. הלא הוא, kamus, amadi, chatum be'otzrotai. All right. Verse 35, and we'll be finished. Verse 35 is not too difficult. Li nakam b'shilem le'etamot raglam ki karov yom eidam v'chash atidot lamo. All right. Li, lamed, yod. To me. Or it's mine. Li. L to e. To me. That's how you say mine. 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 Mine is nakam. Nun. Kof. Or kuf, if you like it that way. Mem. Nakam is vengeance. So vengeance is mine. Literally, to me is nakam, is vengeance. Right? If you want to say, I don't have any vengeance, ain li nakam. I don't have any vengeance. Li nakam. Vengeance is mine. Veshilem le'it tamut raglam. Veshilem. Shin lamed mem. Related to shalom, right? The verbal root shalom is to be complete, to be whole, like that. This is a PL, and it only shows up this way one time in Scripture, the way we're seeing it here, which is an intensive form of to be whole, to be complete. So it means to make complete, to cause to be complete, or to take vengeance. To take vengeance. So some of you Hebrew rooters out there, there's only a certain group of you, not all of you, who like to say shalom, shalom. Please don't do that. I've had a couple of you do that, a couple of pastors, Hebrew roots pastors, and usually the ones who insist on Arabicizing the Hebrew, they don't know Hebrew and they will not listen. I cannot correct them. One guy, I showed so many photographs from the lexicon saying, look, it means revenge. You're telling me revenge, revenge. So please, if you want to greet somebody, it's shalom. All right, shalom. That's how you say it. Or perhaps shalom. Or if you want to say shalom, fine, just a little bit. But anyway, shilam is he exacted payment. He got paid back. He paid back. Veshilem, and he will repay with the idea of revenge. Le'ait, for the time. Tamut. It will moot. It will totter. When will totter? When will shake around? Raglam. The regalim, the feet of them. So when their feet are stumbling, that's when he's going to exact his revenge. Ki karov, for near is Yom eidam. This is a construct chain. So because it ends in we will say the yom, the day of eidam. Eid, aleph yod dalet, destruction of them, of their destruction. V'chash, atidot, lamo. Chash, it's a hollow verb. Chush, chet, shurik, which is the vav with the dot in the middle, and then sheen. Chush is to be hasty, to be in a hurry, right? So v'chash, chash means he hurried, or it hurried. It was in haste, but it's a vav conversive. So v'chash, and it will hurry. What will hurry? The atidot. So the atid is like future, right? Future. Lamo, for them. All right, let's read through one more time. You try to translate. Li, for me, is nakam, nun, kuf or kof, mem, vengeance. Veshilem, and he will repay, he will dish out, le'ait, at the ait, the season, tamut. Tamut can either be you will totter, like you will waver, or she will totter. Raglam. Oh yeah, I shouldn't have said regalim before. It's a singular here. Raglam, the regalavam. So literally, it's their foot. That's why it's a she. That's why she will totter their foot, like they have one collective foot. Ki karo, for near is Yom eidam, the day of their destruction or terror. Vechash, and it's chushing. It will hurry. What will hurry? Atidot, their future, the future really. It can also mean preparations. It's kind of strange how it's used here. Lamo, for them. Okay, I'll just read it one more time through. Let's see how you do. Linakam v'shilem la'it tamut raglam. Ki karov yom edam v'chash atidot lamo. Okay, how'd you guys do? Worth noting, the Rashbam understands atidot to be destiny, right? So v'chash atidot lamo, that, and destiny, and presumably the here is a shared suffix that can happen in poetry. So v'chash atidot and their destiny will chash lamo upon them. Sometimes you see lamed used like ale, like alemo, upon them. So that makes some sense, especially with this older mo suffix here. All right. Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Tomorrow we will not be having our reading in First Kings, but we will be still continuing in the Song of Moses. Please leave me comments down below. Love you guys. Glad you're here. Hope you enjoyed. I will catch you next time. Shalom, shalom.